amigas, amigos,
friends,
gobernadoras,
governors,
gobernadores, empresarios,
entrepreneurs, workers,
pueblo de México.
people of Mexico.
Nos vemos una vez más
We are seeing each other again
este grandioso Zócalo.
on this great Zócalo Square, the heart of the Republic.
Aquí, donde palpita
Here,
la historia,
a place filled with history, we are gathering
conmemorar
to commemorate
juntas y juntos
together
un año
1 year
gobierno del pueblo.
of the people's government.
Porque no camino sola.
Because I don't do this on my own.
Sola.
I do not govern on my own.
Es un gobierno
Our government is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people of Mexico.
vivimos
We are living
un momento histórico.
through a historic moment.
Nuestro país
Our country
transita por un camino de justicia social.
has taken on a path of social justice, dignity, warranties of social rights, freedom,
Democracia y soberanía.
democracy, sovereignty.
No es un logro menor.
It's not a minor achievement or a fleeting one. It is the result of decades of Pacific struggle, organizing
Resistencia
resistance,
y es también
and also
herencia
a
de un
heritage
hombre honesto
from an honest man
profundamente comprometido con su pueblo.
and profoundly devoted to his people, former President Andrés Manuel López Obrador.
Se han empeñado en separarnos.
Some are trying to break us apart.
Su objetivo
Their objective
otro
is none other
acabar
than
con el movimiento de transformación.
ending the transformation movement.
Pero eso no va a
But that won't happen because we share values, honesty, justice, and love for the people of Mexico. Because
compartimos proyectos
we also share projects,
humanismo mexicano
Mexican
y
humanism,
porque no llegamos al
and because we did not come to this position only to manage,
llegamos para
we
seguir
came to
transformando
continue transforming the nation
para el bienestar del pueblo.
for the welfare of the people.
Andrés Manuel López Obrador
Andrés Manuel López Obrador was and will always be an example of honesty, austerity, and profound love for the people. He never gave up. He never conceded to the powerful. He never stepped aside from his principles and listened good. This president will never do that either, because we have convictions, we have principles. No matter how hard external pressures might be, we only obey the people of Mexico. Let them hear that well and clear. In Mexico, the people is the one that rules. Conservatives would like us to forget how things were before. Presidents that lived in luxury, governments removed from the reality of the people, fortunes built through public service. But that is over, because in this New Mexico, honesty poverty will not be the exception. It is the rule. And whomever betrays the people, whomever steals from the people, will be tried. Power is not to profit from. It is to serve humbly. Public resources are sacred, and they should be returned to the people in rights and welfare programs and strategic projects for national development. Let us remember that between 1982 and 2018, for 6 periods of 6 years, 36 years total, Mexico lived through a dark night of neoliberalism. Those in power at the time had no convictions more than money and market. They governed for a few, whereas millions were left behind. For that reason, in 2008, poverty reached 45% of the population in Mexico. That was the face of injustice, of corruption, and of privileges. That was the reality that the fourth transformation inherited, and that is the reality that we decided to change. And look what we have done. Instead of that 45% of people in poverty, today we have a 29%. Of course, it means we have to continue working to make sure that no one in Mexico is ever part of that percentage. But I'm sure we have taken the right path. That feat, described already in our national history between 2018 and 2024, 13.5 million Mexicans left poverty, were uplifted. That feat, although they might want, cannot be erased through hate campaigns, through lies, nor slander. It is an irrefutable fact. Besides, the reduction of poverty came along with a decreased gap, social gap. In 2008, the 10% richest of the population earned 27% more than the 10% more poor segment of the population. In 2024, that gap was reduced from 27 to 14%. With neoliberalism, we became a country with great disparities. Now, we are the second country with less disparities in the Americas, only after Canada. The economic model has been completely transformed. It could be summed up for everyone's good, first the poor. Thanks to that, despite difficulties internationally through this year, our economy remains strong. We have a projected annual growth of 2%, despite catastrophic forecast. Foreign investment, direct investment, was a record for the first semester in 2025. Tourism grew 13.8%. Our currency is under 19 pesos per dollar. Unemployment stands at 2.7%, one of the lowest levels worldwide, and annual inflation in September was 3.7%. Let me avail of this opportunity to thank for produce manufacturers and trading companies for agreeing on an economic package against inflation and their voluntary agreement not to raise the price of gasoline or the maize tortillas. By September, we had 22.5 million workers affiliated to social services, and now under the new reform, all workers of digital platforms should be covered with Social Security. In Mexico, we have freedoms and democracy. Contrary to lies being spread in most media, the whole world can see clearly that in Mexico there's no repression. The state is not using its force against the people. We respect human rights. We practice freedom of expression. There's no censorship, and all the powers are voted by the people of Mexico. Over the last few months, over the last 13 months, we proposed transformations to the law. We approved 19 constitutional reforms and 40 new laws. Let me touch upon the most important ones. A reform to the judicial power. In June 2025, Mexicans, we had a free election to appoint ministers to the justice system, judges and justices, and let me salute all the new appointees to justices and judges. The era of nepotism in the judicial branch is over. Corruption and privileges, and a new era is beginning. A new era of legality, of justice for all. A true state of rights. It is a very profound transformation. People who work in the justice system should be at the service of the people, not as it was the case before, of only benefiting certain groups or political factions or economic factions, or under criminal interests. Also, we have incorporated the National Guard to the Defense Ministry to guarantee their professionalism, that they stay in the ranks, and that they are honest. Third, there's been a reform to the second article, an amendment to the second article of the Constitution to acknowledge the First Nation peoples with all their rights. Long live the First Nations of Mexico. Fourth, amendments to the Articles 25 and 27 of the Constitution to revert an important part of the 2013 energy reform. Thanks to those articles, the reform to those articles, and other secondary laws, we have recovered Pemex, Mexican petroleum, for the people of Mexico. And fifth, a reform to the 28th article to provide public internet access. And equality for women is also already in the Constitution. Passenger trains are also contained in the Constitution. The reforms to the Constitution, to every social welfare program, are considered social rights for the people of Mexico. We have also reformed the 123rd article of the Constitution to acknowledge right to housing rights to workers. Living quarters should not be a business. It is a right to the people of Mexico. And the right and also rights and we have also included in the Constitution the importance of not using transgenic corn, because as we have said, without corn there's no country. As of 2030, there would be no election for public posts, and it's been forbidden to bequeath as an inheritance a public office position. There should be no nepotism. And to those willing to interfere, to have a foreign power interfere in Mexico, we have written in the Constitution the following. The people of Mexico, under no circumstance, will accept any foreign intervention or interference from the from a foreign party that may be damaging to its independence and sovereignty. No interference in elections or any incursion in our Mexican territory, whether it be by land, air, water. This reform basically means Mexico will not accept any interference, any intervention. We are a free country, independent, sovereign. I should also explain here that the reform to the social reform guarantees every citizen their rights against any improper act of authority. That has been properly safeguarded, and the objective of that is to expedite justice, to guarantee a swift action against money laundering, and to prevent tax exemptions that have been lasted for too long from people who refuse to pay taxes. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Senate of the Republic, to the Deputies Chamber, and to local Congress for their patriotic and consequent action in approving these historic reforms. I think we need to ask ourselves, how did we manage to historically reduce poverty and inequalities? It's called social justice. We increased minimum salary, we implemented welfare programs, and we recover the capacity of the Mexican state as directing force in the economy, as well as its capacity to do public strategic works. Let's remember that over 36 years, there was no increase to minimum salary. Now, between 2018 and 2025, it has been raised 135% in real terms. In 2018, minimum salary was 88 pesos per day. In 2025, it's 279 pesos per day. And on the north border area, 420 pesos per day. They used to say that if we raised the minimum salary, there would be inflation, because there would be no investment and the currency will be depreciated. Lies. We increased the minimum salary and inflation is under control. Direct foreign investment has continued to flow, and our currency is one of the most stable around the world. This year, we are allotting 850 million pesos for the benefit of 32 million families. That is 88.4% of families in Mexico get some direct support. And no one is asked who you would be voted for or which party you affiliate for. Welfare programs are for the people of Mexico, universally, directly, without intermediaries. The vote should not be used as a lever. The reach of welfare programs by the end of 2025 is the following. 30 million people over the age of 65 get pensions. 1.6 million people with some discapacity get a pension. 13 million students have scholarships attending public schools. 28 million families with children at school, 63,200 schools, primary schools, and 6,050 senior and junior high schools. 83 clinics are covered with the clinic is ours. 264,000 youngsters are building future. 243 children from 0 to 4 years of age get support. Fishermen and also get support from the state. 1.8 million farmers also get support in the form of means and fertilizers free of charge produced by Pemex. There are welfare stores, And this year, they are enjoying a fair trade with chocolate. 415,000 farmers are sowing the land with life. Milk producers are serving 13.8 million families under a social policy. And there's also social programs for support for women from the age of 60 to 64. It's a way to acknowledge the work of care through long years. Now, this year, we are building 1,000 nurseries, which now we call education centers for infants, for working mothers. This year, all junior high school students will get a scholarship, and next year we will provide scholarships to primary school children, and all the elders and people with some handicap are getting visits to their homes and support. This is the most ambitious social program in the history of Mexico, based on the principle of trusting the people and that social rights are the basics of welfare. And for the first time in history, 20,000 African and indigenous communities are getting public funds directly. Under the fourth transformation, we have the conviction that the state should warrant people's rights, like access to education, to health care, and to decent living. Many years of neglect there have been, and we have a lot more to do, but we have made great progress. With that spirit, we have set a goal of providing public education from the basic grammar school to the university. This year, we raised salaries for teachers and professors by 10%. We managed to gradually reduce retirement age for those under the 10th transition. We are strengthening the solidarous pension regime through pensions for welfare. And in the coming months, as I said I would, we would launch a public consultation through each school for whatever policies teachers may decide. We created a national standard for senior high schools to harmonize all high school systems. This year we are opening 38,000 new spaces for senior high school graduates of the expected 120,000 that we will be opening. And we are building more senior high schools that may be closer to their schools, so that when leaving junior high school, they may enter senior high school
del Valle de México ya no realizó el examen del COMIPEMS. El nuevo sistema
The new system
tiene un nombre
does not
con
require an
mucho
exam of
simbolismo.
entry
A diferencia
to
del
senior high
examen
school.
de exclusión, el
The
sistema
new
actual se
system
llama
is
Mi Derecho, Mi Lugar.
my right, my place.
Nuestra visión también
Our vision
es que las y los jóvenes que deseen estudiar la
for the
universidad
youngsters who would like
tengan el
to
derecho de hacerlo de manera gratuita.
continue to the university
Por
may
eso,
have the right to do it
fortalecemos
free of
las
charge. That's why
universidades
we
del
are
bienestar
strengthening
Benito Juárez
welfare
García
universities
y
like
creamos la
the Benito
Universidad
Juárez University,
Nacional
and we
Rosario
created
Castellanos, que ya
the Rosario
tiene
Castellano National University,
77,000
which has
estudiantes.
77,000 students already.
Este año
This year,
invertimos en las escuelas
we have
de
invested
formación artística.
in art
Eliminamos las
schools.
cuotas de inscripción.
We
A
eliminated
través del
inscription
programa
quotas
México Canta,
through the program
hermanamos a
Mexico
las y los
Sings.
jóvenes mexicanos
We have
en Estados Unidos y en México
created
para
cooperation
fomentar
between
la cultura de la paz.
Mexican and U.S.
Inauguramos la
art
Cineteca
students to promote
en la cuarta
a peace
sección
culture.
del bosque de Chapultepec. Y en diciembre,
In
con
December,
varios países de
with
América
several
Latina,
countries, along with several
vamos
countries in Latin
a
America,
repartir
we
el
will
nuevo proyecto 25 libros para el 25
launch a new
con el
project,
objetivo de
25
acercar
books
nuevamente
for
el
the
realismo
25th
mágico a las nuevas
to teach the
generaciones.
new generations magic
Estamos
realism.
solicitando al Congreso
We are demanding the Congress
que ya dio vista el poder judicial se dé aumento a la cultura y en particular a la
to raise the
producción
budget
de
for
cine
culture
nacional.
and the cinema industry, something that has already been approved by the Parliament.
En 23 entidades de la República
23 public
funciona
entities
el IMSS Bienestar, que cada
are
día
under a
se
welfare
fortalece.
program.
Creamos las rutas de la salud
We have
para
created
garantizar
health
que
routes
los medicamentos
to
lleguen al
make
último
sure
rincón del
that
país.
medicine reach
Me informan
the farthest
que
corners of our
estamos
country.
al 90% de abasto
And they
en el
tell us
nivel
that
primario
we
y
are covering
secundario de la
90% of the
salud.
needs for meds.
También, a finales de este año,
And by the end of this
habremos
year,
inaugurado
we might have
31 hospitales
inaugurated
nuevos
31 new
del IMSS
hospitals
y del IMSS Bienestar.
under
Dimos
3
inicio
different
al
welfare
programa
programs.
Laboratorio en tu clínica.
And we have
En la
initiated a
gran
program,
mayoría de los
Lab in Your
centros de
Clinic.
salud
Most
podrá
health
haber
clinics
laboratorios
will
para
have their own
poder
laboratories
diagnosticar adecuadamente
to
a
properly
las
diagnose
personas.
people.
En diciembre será realidad
That
para
would be a
los
reality in
23
December
estados de la República
for the
y
23 states of the
también
Republic,
para Yucatán,
and
que
also
se
for
incorpora
the
al IMSS
Yucatan,
Bienestar.
which is joining this program, welfare program.
Nuestra propuesta
Our
es
proposal
construir
is to build 1.8 million new houses for welfare with accessible credits for families earning less than 2 minimum salaries. I have the pleasure to inform you that 300,000 of these are under construction, and we have already given some of these new houses to people. Besides, 5 million families who had unbearable debts will benefit with debt reduction programs, a way to grant loans that would support people instead of being just a means of profiting for banks. Many families have already entered this new policy. And I'm telling you, don't believe any fake news. The Maya train has transported 1.7 million passengers since it opened. From the Felipe Ángeles Airport, 15 million passengers have traveled, as well as almost 1 million tons of cargo. The Olmeca refinery is producing an average of 270,000 barrels of oil per day. And Mexicana de Aviación, the airliner, has moved 750,000 passengers. We have started strategic works under our administration. The Machuca, Mexico City train, passengers train between Mexico Laredo, and a new train, passenger train for the northern area to Laredo. So what do you think? If that train, we could name that train as the Gulf of Mexico train. Raise your hand if you agree. So who wants to name the train that goes from Mexico to New Laredo, maybe called the Gulf of Mexico train? Okay, the majority. We already started construction of a train from Querétaro two new routes, and we have initiated a cargo train, a Maya train, undertaken by military engineers, and we are also making progress in an interoceanic train from Oaxaca to Chiapas under the Navy responsibility. We're also finishing two other train routes, and we have also started working on highways connecting several circuits and several cities. Under construction, we have 11 of 21 road distribution points, and we are supporting Guerrero State to rebuild over 68 bridges that were destroyed by hurricanes. We're also rehabilitating 820 kilometers of roads in the Mixteca area in the mountains of Oaxaca and Guerrero. And we have also allotted resources for the construction of 500 dirt roads in indigenous communities. Through this year, we have granted water supply contracts with a lot of support from irrigation districts and company districts, has allowed us to deprivatize and recover for the nation 4 million cubic meters of water, which means 4 times what Mexico City needs. A few days ago, we sent an amendment to the water law to guarantee that water be a human right and a resource of the nation, not a merchandise for the benefit of a few. For the first time in our history, we are making technical advancement for irrigation in 8 districts in 18 states of the Republic. And we're also starting 20 projects, strategic projects for drinking water and sanitation in several cities.
Presa El Novillo en Baja California Sur, Presa El Tunal 2 en Durango, Milpillas en Zacatecas, Paso Ancho en Oaxaca, el programa integral para Acapulco.
An integral program also for Acapulco.
Sistema de presas en Sonora, desaladora
a dam system in Sonora.
California, La Cangrejera Coatzacoalcos en Veracruz, programa de agua para San Luis Potosí. Distribution
lines for Laguna, an integral project for the metropolitan area of the Mexican Valley, protection works in Tabasco, and sanitation of Tula, Tarma, Santiago rivers. We are giving continuity to the rescue of Mexican petroleums. Neoliberal governments left a corrupt debt, but we are making progress, steady progress, and with a lot of honesty. There will be no energy shortage for the national development. We are promoting sovereign energy supply, and we're also promoting clean means of energy, sources of energy. In 2024, we launched a strategy to strengthen security and justice based on 4 axes: addressing the causes, consolidating the National Guard, strengthening research and intelligence bodies, and coordinating all branches of the government. With the Security Secretariat, we meet every day at 6 a.m. to strengthen that strategy.
La política de construcción de la paz se decide soberanamente en México.
Make no mistake, the policy to build peace is built sovereignly in Mexico. There's no foreign interference, only our perseverance. This morning we had results through the month of September. In the past 12 months, we have reduced criminal homicide by 32%. That is, between September 2024 and September 2025, there were 27 homicides less per day. The reduction that we have managed in several states is significant. For instance, in the state of Zacatecas, 88%, 73% in Chiapas, 62% in Jalisco, 61%, 47% in Guanajuato, 46% in Sonora, 45% in Puebla, 44% in Tabasco, 43% in the state of Mexico, 25% in Baja California. 22% in Guerrero. A few months ago, we launched a national strategy against extortion, and we submitted a reform to end this crime, and especially to protect the victims of this crime. Also to protect the rights of young people and to guarantee zero impunity that would have further advanced socially. I'm sure that the new judicial power will help a lot in this process. I thanks the cabinet that has worked with me through this year, especially Secretary General Ricardo Trevilla and Admiral Secretary Pedro Raimundo for their professionalism, loyalty, and patriotism. Friends, we will continue to make progress in all of the projects that we have already initiated. And we will also launch an integral program to repair federal highways, and we will invite states and municipalities to join in this program. We will give continuity to all of the public works already under construction. From now until December 26, we will inaugurate bridges, roads, hospitals, new train lines. We will continue all of these works, also dirt works, new schools, new clinics, new hospitals. There's one thing clear. When there's no corruption, there's money for more. Let me give you this piece of information. In 2025, our estimate is that without having raised taxes compared to the previous year, we might increase the state budget by as much as 550 million more. When we arrive at government, we propose the Mexico plan, a plan aimed at strengthening production for domestic and foreign markets to generate better jobs for the people. In next year, 2026, that program would be, we would have 23 welfare clusters. And I know we will reach a good agreement with the United States and with other countries around the world regarding our trade relations. As part of this plan, in the next few weeks, we will be submitting an electric prototype and design of semiconductors and projects for our own satellites and for drones built 100% in Mexico. That is part of a very ambitious program which will be submitted in the next few weeks, which we are calling Mexico, a country of innovation, which includes developing a national laboratory for artificial intelligence. France, as the first woman president of Mexico, let me say, we all made it. During previous neoliberal administrations, they were searching for models in other countries because they never believed in our own history, our own cultural heritage, and in the creative power of our own people. They tried to impose the idea that what we had was of no value, that we needed to copy from others. Today we say that although we may acknowledge other countries' experiences, we need to look back into our history, of which we have to be proud, of the great civilizations that we had here before the arrival of the Spanish conquistadors. We are proud of indigenous women in Mexico, which are the support and guide of the country. We take pride in our native nation, First Nations, and the Afro-Mexican groups. We are also proud of our political history. The great men and women in independence through the reform and the revolution, and of the millions who fought to have democracy and the freedoms that we enjoy today. We are proud of our women who fight every day, opening paths of equality and justice. We are also proud of our youngsters, of all elders who are giving us all of their life experience. We are also proud of Mexican migrants who bravely cross borders but never forget their love for Mexico. Long live Mexican migrants. Because our people is hardworking, persistent, has a solidarity spirit, because we have a great country. Today, more than ever, we know that sovereignty cannot be backed. It has to be exerted with dignity, with compassion, with the strength of millions of Mexicans. We know that there is no divorce between the people and the government, that prosperity is shared or is not prosperity at all, that justice is for all or for none, that democracy can only flourish when the people is at the center of that democracy, and that true freedom cannot exist without welfare. That's why from this historic Zócalo Square, we are reaffirming our compromise with the fourth transformation of the public life in Mexico. A transformation that belongs to the people. I am certain, because we hear that on the streets throughout the Republic. We are on the right path. And here we are, standing with the strength that derives from our history, with the pride of our present, and with the hope of our future. As I said before, I will not fail you. My commitment is to the people and continues to be to give you my soul, my life, the best of myself, to the welfare of the people of Mexico. My commitment is to defend the homeland. My commitment with you is to be a president that may be in agreement with the generosity and the history of the Mexican people. Long live the dignity of the people of Mexico. Long live Mexico, a free, independent, sovereign Mexico. Long live Mexico forever. Long live Mexico. Long live Mexico.
We're listening to the statements of the President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum. She was addressing the people on the one-year anniversary of her administration. A year from now, a year back, she was sworn in as president, as the first woman president of Mexico. And in her speech, in her address to all the thousands of people that are gathered here at one of the main squares of Mexico City, she addressed the important achievements that have been reached during this first year of her administration. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum expressed that Mexico has experienced an historical moment where the country is moving towards social justice, freedom, sovereignty, and social rights. And this is not a small or temporary achievement. It is the result of peaceful struggles and the legacy of the man that began the fourth transformation, an honest man, as she described him, former President Manuel López Obrador. She made a warning to all different sectors that seek to divide Mexicans, and said that they will never succeed in doing so because Mexicans stand together, united in conviction for peace and love for the homeland. During her address marking the first year of her administration, she also referred that the legacy of the fourth transformation is a strong reduction of poverty, going from over 45% to less than 29%, a reduction that happened in the last 7 years from the year 2018 when López Obrador took office and began with the fourth transformation. She also made reference to all the important policies that have been established to reduce the gap between rich and poor, going from being the country with the highest inequality gap between rich and poor to one of the lowest, only second behind Canada in our side of the continent. She also made reference to all the important reforms that has been made during this year, all the important policies that have been implemented by her administration, improving the social welfare of the people and improving the inclusion of women and all vulnerable sectors, and providing a support to the society, providing direct aid from the government with different welfares that she mentioned, having a wide reach, reaching everyone without abandoning any sector of the population. Also talk about the important reduction in crimes. We have an important reduction of over 32% of homicides daily in the nation. Also went over the important achievements going to the future, moving towards the investment towards the future. She announced that in the coming weeks there were going to be important announcements in the field of AI as well as in the field of electric vehicles, all produced in Mexico. Also referring to the different constitutions, she also referred to the importance of the welfare that providing the help, saying into housing as one of the rights of the people, a housing program that aims to build 1.8 million houses in the year. And right now of that 1.8 million houses, over 300,000 are under construction, and some have already been delivered, to its people, to the people that are going to receive it, that the people are going to be benefiting. That are going to be benefiting from these programs are the ones that their salaries, that the households that do not that gain less than 2 joint minimum salaries in that households will be receiving help to provide them with housing. In talking about the minimum salary also, this is an important point, where after years or 30 decades of stagnation of the minimum salary being stalled at the same margin, the fourth transformation has made an important increase in that minimum salary guaranteeing a stronger purchasing power for the Mexican people, for the middle class, for the population in general, saying also denouncing how it was said before that doing so will bring about inflation and destabilization and a collapse in the economy. And in the contrary, following the well-aimed policies of Sheinbaum's administration, the Mexican currency is one of the most stable right now in the world, as the Cuban pesos has remained in less than 19. The Mexican pesos has remained less than 19 per dollar, and the inflation has remained also controlled with 3.7% inflation, and also this leading to the new economic model, also leading to a 2.7% unemployment, which is one of the lowest in the world. Adding that Mexico continues to enjoy freedom and democracy, adding that there is no repression and it has one of the highest standards of freedom of expression, and that all powers, especially after following the judicial reform, all powers of the nations are elected by the people, in that way eliminating corruption and all benefits that were enjoyed by the oligarchy class of the times before. Sheinbaum expressed her commitment to continue with the fourth transformation, to continue to strengthen the Mexican society as a whole, to provide them with better welfare, and to continue building an important nation, a power nation in Central America and the world. Stay tuned with teleSUR News for more updates in upcoming news briefs.